As sports history fans, we often reminisce about the legends. Willis Reed limping on to the NBA Finals court, Curt Schilling's bloody sock, Kerry Strug's courageous dismount, and so many more. These moments often define sports history. But what about the countless injuries that did not become legends, or careers that were derailed due to inadequate care? That's where this episode's sponsor comes in. Introducing to you, ILP Sports Consultants, your trusted sports injury partner, available 24/7. Brian Maelli at ILP Sports Consultants has over 20 years of experience in the orthopedic and sports medicine industry, and he has worked with athletes across the gamut, from youth to amateurs, professionals, in almost every sport played in the United States of America, accommodating athletes at every stage of their career. This adaptability ensures that ILP services are perfectly tailored to your skill level, no matter where you are in your athletic journey. With ILP, you are in control. Choose the steps that matter most to you. Diagnosis, treatment plan, recovery, or the whole journey. ILP services are tailored to your unique needs. Rushing for care is a common pitfall, leading to future problems. ILP Sports Consultants helps you make the right decisions, ensuring that you receive timely and safe care. And here's the bonus. Brian hosts the Injured List podcast, sharing insights and athlete stories you won't want to miss. Whether you're a concerned parent or grandparent, or an athlete yourself seeking guidance, ILP Sports Consultants is your beacon of hope in sports injury management. Visit ILPsports.com today. That's the letters ILPsports.com. ILP Sports Consultants, where your well-being is the priority and your recovery is the mission. Choose ILP Sports Consultants for a healthier sports journey, helping you get back in the game the smart way.
Blog Talk Radio.
Tonight, go back to seasons past, when 22 men graced the rugged fields of yesterday, fighting for one more first down, one more yard gain, one final score, which would bring victory after 60 minutes of battle on the gridiron. Tonight, we'll explore the world of Gridiron Greats. Welcome to Gridiron Greats Football History and its memorabilia on the Gridiron Greats Publishing and Broadcasting Network. Live from the Southport, North Carolina home of Gridiron Greats Magazine, I'm Bob Swick, publisher and editor of Gridiron Greats Magazine, and I'll be your host for the show. Gridiron Greats is the only publication in America that focuses upon the history and memorabilia of the North American football game since its inception in 1869. We cover 150-plus years of football history and memorabilia. And you can find us on the web at GridironGreatsMagazine.com. It is at this time I'd like to introduce my co-host. He's a senior contributing writer to Gridiron Greats Magazine, a football memorabilia historian, specializing in pre-World War II items, in particular Rick Grange, and also Seattle Seahawk items, in particular Steve Largent. He has, from Portland, Oregon, Joe Squires. Joe, welcome to the show tonight.
I love it. You're on cruise control, Bob. You're like from Wallingford, Connecticut, but you paused and you corrected yourself. Attaboy. I love it.
I caught myself. It's been so common for me to say that.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I gotta get used to The new way of life. A much different way of life.
I loved it.
Used to.
I don't know if you heard it. I just cracked up. You said Walling, and you just stopped, and I cracked up. I'm not sure if you heard me.
I did hear you.
And I'm glad
it's a habit. Glad I caught myself.
Yeah. It's a habit. It's a good. I mean, the mecca of football collecting has been Wallingford for years. And I've said it before. It's like, where it's like the president. Whatever plane the president is on is called Air Force One. Wherever Bob is the mecca of football collecting. So, I mean, it was Wallingford, Connecticut for a long time, and now we have a new home.
I've been saying to Brenda, it'll be much better once we're actually in the house. I'm having difficulty adjusting to condo living. You go from a 3,000 square foot house to a condo rental with everything in storage. It's a whole different way of life, and I'm still having. After today is day 29. We've been down here. I've been keeping a record, and it's amazing, truly amazing. But hopefully we'll be in at some point.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you weren't in yet. What's the deal there?
We're renting a condo while we're building the house in the same development that we're building in. Because we're literally like a mile and a half from the house where the condos are. But it's an interesting experience for me. As I tell people, I lived in 3 houses in my life, and this is the first short-term condo. We've rented condos on vacation and all that, so we're used to it.
Yeah.
But we've never spent more than 10 days in a condo, so this is going to be interesting. So it is what it is.
All that memorabilia, all of that stuff. How do you feel having all of that in storage? Do you go check it out to make sure it's safe every once in a while? We rented from a very dependable, highly recommended moving company using their storage area in an undisclosed location in North Carolina, and everything is there. I do have a few boxes of stuff with me here in the condo. Yeah,
and that's about it. So it's like withdrawal for me. I said to Brenda, I'm so used to just walking into the office man cave and just pulling out whatever I need. Now I have nothing, literally nothing I'm pulling out. I've been got a few things, and that's about it. So it's tough.
Yeah, ditto. We moved 4 years ago, and the movers came to move stuff. I personally moved my football stuff. I had it boxed up and took it over, unpacked, and I'm like, no, you guys don't touch this stuff. I got it.
Yep.
That's tough.
I boxed everything myself with a friend of mine back home, and we all had it all segregated in a certain area. So when the guys came to move, I told them where to put it, and they knew from when they were going to move it, that had to be separated from everything else. So they did a very good job. I was pleased. So, but I'll be glad when it's November, and hopefully we're going to be in before the end of November, and I can get everything set up again, and we'll be back to normal.
Okay.
So
all right.
Until that time, it's a much different ballgame. But I'm going to lead off tonight talking about, before we get into the gist of what we're going to talk about tonight, the shortage of new pack cards available for the general collecting public anywhere. And I'm going to recap 2 experiences I've had here locally. I can only describe one place where I bought cards. The other one I have to leave undisclosed. But in the local Walmart here in Southport, at one of the aisles where they keep all the tobacco products, they do have a small card selection. And Brenda and I were waiting in line, and I just per chance looked up and I said, wow, there are cards there. So you're limited to 1 pack of cards. So I'm looking at what I bought. I'm looking at what I bought, Joe, a 30-card pack of 2021 Prestige football cards. And
Prestige.
The cards
Have you heard of Prestige before?
$7.98 for the pack plus sales tax. I was floored when I saw the price and I saw them there. So I bought one pack, my allocation, and the cashier was nice. She said, "You want your wife to buy one?" And I said, "No," because I said I don't want to, take it away from somebody who really wants to buy them. Let another kid or whoever wants to buy them, let them buy the pack, so on and so forth. And at another store, local store, a local retailer, they had packs of 2021 Score football cards, 40-card pack, and they had a limit of 2 packs for $7 each, plus the sales tax.
Wow.
So I'm looking at right now while we're doing the show, Joe, at 3 packs of 2021 cards. Now I don't think I'm going to open them because they could be worth, what do you think, $500-$600 on the road if I get them encapsulated. If I get them hermetically sealed and get them graded, I could probably pay the house off with what I got here.
I'm shaking my head because it's just even just the idea of 2-pack limit per person, $8, $19, whatever per pack, and it's just I don't know. You and I both have very fond memories of plunking down a quarter for me to buy a pack, a nickel for you to buy a pack, and yeah. Think about it.
I said to Brenda when I got out of the store, and she said, "You should have let me, buy the pack." I said, "What is the point of this? This is utterly ridiculous. To spend over a quarter a card just to get a brand new set of cards." And obviously Prestige has more value than the Score, since the Score is less, the Score is about 17-18 cents a card. The Prestige is almost, it's over a quarter a card, almost 30 cents a card. Can you believe that?
Well, I'll admit, Bob, you're the old man yelling, "Get off my lawn" when it comes to graded, TPG stuff. I'm the old man yelling, "Get off the lawn" when it's like modern stuff. I've never heard of Prestige. I mean, I don't know. Is that the new fangled, chrome, prism thing? Or remember everything is Panini. So they got all the old brands they bought up, the old playoff Prestige cards, they now own. So whatever Swick printing or whatever they have with that is obviously much different than the base Score, which I would assume is more of a base card. But I'm just shocked by the whole thing. I'm totally shocked watching seeing this go on. And again, we had mentioned before in our email, Target stopped selling sports cards on the shelf
because of a riot that took place at one of the stores when the new shipment came in, and the stores got wise to the flippers, as they're called, who wait in line, know when the next delivery is going to be, get there, they buy up everything, and then resell it to the local dealers.
Which is stunning to me.
I don't get any warm fuzzies for them doing that either. I don't think that's right. To get a young kid who legitimately is trying to collect cards. The kid can't even buy cards.
Because there's five grown men over there wrestling each other for the next pack. Think about that, though. It was explained to me that it's like there are people who they have a friend who works for Topps or Panini or something like that who's like, "Hey, I'm going to be at this Target, on Wednesday at noon." So they sit outside, they wait for the Topps car, they follow them in, and as they're putting it on the shelf, they're grabbing it, putting it in their cart. And then they have somebody else outside, who follows them to the next store while the first person is paying for it, and then like, all right, meet me at this target, and then they follow the, they leapfrog. The person number 2 is in emptying the shelves, and then person number 1 is following them to the next place, and they're buying it all off. I mean, it's just that's kids. I don't know about you, but I don't know. I believe children are the future. If you teach them well and let them lead the way, if you show them all the beauty they possess inside, you give them I don't know. I'm running a song off, so I was joking, but no, I mean kids. Our future of our hobby is kids collecting. And if they can't get a hold of anything, or if it gets priced out, I mean, who's going to buy all my Largent cards?
Yeah. Who's going to buy Michael? I mean, think about it.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. But, I heard that same on VFC about, Target no longer selling, and it was because one person pulled a gun on another person, to dissuade them from buying wax packs. I don't know. How many times as a kid did you have a gun pulled on you while trying to buy your nickel, 65 Philly? Bob?
Right.
It's disheartening.
Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And
I heard.
Again, fast forward. I mean, really think about this. Fast forward 56 years later. I'm still buying cards. I went from a nickel to roughly, with the tax, $8.50 for a pack of cards. Can you believe it? I mean, I'm just shocked by the whole thing. I'm shocked. I'm just so shocked. It's not even funny. It's crazy, truly crazy.
Yep. And you went from one brand, 65 Philly, 65 Tops. You went from one to. Or two in that case, up and through 67. And then, to how many different packs are there? Because I heard the same thing. Target was no longer selling. So I went on Target.com and I told you I bought some stuff too. Here's the problem. I didn't know what the hell I was supposed to buy because I don't buy modern stuff. I was just literally buying it because I wanted to open one and to put one away. I ended up buying, there were, 2 things available, just 2. That was it. So I bought 2021, I had to write it down because it was so complicated, Panini NFL Prism Draft Pick. So,
Prism?
2021 Panini NFL Prism Draft Pick.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell's supposed to be in this. And it was a box, it was a box with 12 packs. And they limited you to 2 boxes. They were $119. So 12 packs divided by 119, it's about $10 a pack. Free shipping. So I bought 2 boxes, and then I was like, I wonder if they do that by IP address per day. So I went on and I tried to buy 2 more, and it allowed me to do it. So I bought 4 boxes of 2021 Panini NFL Prism Draft Picks. I'm going to open one and see what I got.
Wow.
But I don't know. Am I supposed to get excited? $119 a box.
$119 a box. I remember. Back in the late 80s, you could go to a candy distributor, wholesaler, back in Connecticut, and you could buy a 36-count wax box of football cards for $10.80. Okay?
Yep.
$10.80. So that's basically, you got 36 packs for $10.80 total. So I distinctly remember this. I walked in, the place was called Montano Brothers, no longer in existence. I remember buying 1987, 88, 89 Topps football wax boxes from them for $10.80 a box. No limit. He would, you could buy as much as you want. He would normally have like maybe 1 or 2 cases available, and most of the people that were going in who were candy store owners, 5 and dime owners, so on and so forth, they would buy 1 or 2 boxes just to have them in the store. Okay, and they would charge the 50 cents a pack. They would make the $7 on the box, and everything was fine with it, so on and so forth. So that's 30 cents. It's 30 cents a pack, and they marked it up to 50 cents a pack. Okay. So not so many people knew about him, and he was more concerned selling the candy than anything else, the boxes of candy, so on and so forth. But think about that. I paid $10.80 a box for stuff I should have just never opened and just put away, until I knew 30 years from now that they'd be so rare it wouldn't even be funny type of thing. Maybe it's the same difference now with you paying $1.19 a box 20 years from now. What are they going to be worth? $500-$600 a box?
We'll see. I mean,
doesn't make sense.
Who knows? Who knows? In 20 years, am I going to be kicking myself if I didn't get more? I mean, who knows? It's fascinating. Just like you said, it's fascinating. Just I don't know. It's interesting. I have such fond memories of just walking into that 7-Eleven on 21st and Broadway, and I live about 10 blocks from that place now. That might, where I used to walk down, when I went to my grandma's house. Such fond memories of my dad giving my brother and I each a buck, walking down there. My brother would buy a candy bar, and I'd buy 4 packs. And pop the gum in my mouth, walk back to my grandma's, house, looking at my football cards. I don't know. And now, you can't do that. I mean, you give a kid $5 to go get candy, which is a lot of money, and they can't even afford a pack. So it's weird. Mm-hmm. Well, about one other box, other than the 2021 Panini NFL Prism draft pick, and I love saying that because it really rolls off the tongue. Like 1984 Topps. I also bought 2021 NFL Sage High Football Blaster Box. Okay, I hate to admit this, Bob. I don't know what a blaster box is, and I'd never heard of Sage High Football.
You got me on that one, too. I have not kept up. I can honestly say I have not kept up with all the new editions, brands, types of boxes, so on and so forth. And again, we're pretty much from the same school. You had wax boxes, you had cello packs, and you had a jumbo pack. Those were the 3 types of things you bought. And that's it. Simple. But today it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So anyways, trying to tie all this in, which is why we brought it up, Fanatics is going to be the exclusive distributor of whatever type of card comes out when they take it over, whenever it's going to be a year or 2 from now. And are they even going to make cards? That's what I'm wondering. Or is it done? Is it completely done? What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Are they going to sell to the hobby shops that are remaining? Are they going to sell to retail stores? How are they going to market anything? No one knows. So it should be very interesting to see. And as I've told people numerous times, stopped printing in 2015. I stopped opening wax packs basically 2016, with the exception of a handful of packs I found here and there that I just bought for curiosity's sake. But I got to say this, Joe. I have the packs right in front of me here while we're doing the show. I have zero interest in opening them. And that's sad. That's really sad. Because in the old days, they would have been open by now, I would have got home and I would have just broke them, and that's it.
Yep.
Incredible.
And I mentioned to you at a previous show, I've been buying unopened wax. Just it is nostalgic to me. And I go down there, and the oldest one I have is 77, and I've got a couple 78, a couple 79, some 81, a bunch of 82, and then I don't have any 86, and I stop at 88. And it's cool. It's cool. I have a BBC sealed, because 8-9 years ago when I was buying stuff, I just realized how, and I like their new hologram, and they've got little hologram stickers, they put on them and they number them, and you can look on the website to verify. So they, the stuff I had before where somebody was shrink wrapping and putting a sticker, that they fixed that. I don't know. It's like next to my desk at work, I have a coffee mug with striped football pencils, and once or twice a month I'll grab a couple pencils and just look at them while I'm on a boring Zoom call or something. It's awesome. even just down to the smell of them reminds me of being a kid in 5th and 6th grade on a school bus. And same thing. I go down there and look at all this wax, and I really enjoy it. It's fun. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying that.
I mean, these packs have no smell to them whatsoever. They have they're totally nondescript. I mean, they are what they are, and that's a type of situation. And I'll throw this out for anybody who was an advanced football wrapper collector, card wrapper collector, and football display box collector. Once 1989 hit, I always said to myself, I don't know how anybody's going to keep up trying to collect and keep their wax pack wrapper collection going and display box collection going. It's impossible, truly impossible. And I'm pretty correct in what I said. You know what I mean? Because how could you even find 40, 50, 60 different packs that were issued in 1 year? Think about it. Just finding them. And I would always say, if I was at a show or whatever, and I would see, an odd pack here or there. This was in the early 90s. I would always try to buy the pack, and I said, well, let me hold the pack for my collection, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, what am I doing? I mean, this is nuts, trying to keep up with everything. It's crazy, truly crazy. So anyways, I wanted to bring our audience a little up to speed on what's going on in the market for an open. And I hate to say this, my advice, if you're in Walmart and you just happen to be in that particular aisle where they have behind lock and key with the security guard standing right at you, staring right at you, if you got that opportunity to buy that one pack of 2021 NFL football cards, we're both going to say, buy it and put it away and see what happens down the road. Yeah. So when we're doing this show 10 years from now, Joe, I may tell people now's the time to sell. And that $8 pack could be worth $16. You never know.
And you'll go, hey, Joe, didn't you buy a couple boxes of that 2021 Panini NFL Prism draft pick? I had to flip my paper over to read it.
Are they paying for the kids' college education now with what you're going to get for them? Oh my word! This is nuts.
Shall see.
This is nuts.
Yeah, it's practically gambling. Oh well. Hey, we are gambling on
all right, so what about that? Let's move on, and I'm going to get a little out of script here. I want to get right into what I really want to talk about tonight, and that is the beauty of real football memorabilia and cards, and that's the uncut football sheet. And before I hand it off to you, Joe, for anyone who does not know, our co-host Joe Squires has one of the largest uncut sheet collections in the country of uncut football sheets. And I will say this over the years, and I'm going pre-1989, from time to time I would see at a show uncut football sheet. I never took a strong liking to them. I was always fascinated with the way they looked, though, and I would examine them at a dealer's table, so on and so forth. The one thing I did buy and sell over the years was a bunch of 8-card and 10-card 1960 Fleer football strips that I found at a show. I ended up buying probably, I want to say at least 30 of them, 40 of them maybe over the years, and I sold them all over the years. And I always thought that was cool. It was neat to look at. They displayed nicely. For a while I had them displayed in my room. And then I just said, this doesn't fit any part of my collection, so I sold them. But as far as I'm concerned, any uncut sheet, and I will stop at 1988 because I really believe once the explosion hit in 1989, we have never been the same for the past 32 years in football cards from 1989 to our current year, and the hysteria of buying a $8 30-card pack of football cards. So, Joe, I'm handing off to you. and I got a couple questions that I'm going to throw out at you. And the first question I'm going to ask you about your uncut sheet collection: what do you look for in the uncut sheet when you buy it? As far as obviously condition has to play a strong role in it, but what else are you looking for there when you're picking up a sheet?
That's a very interesting question. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Rarity, scarcity. I mean, way easier to find a 1988 uncut sheet than it is to find a 1957 tops. And as you mentioned, it's such a snapshot in the history of it. I mean, how much have we learned about rare condition sensitive cards because of their placement on a sheet? It's fascinating. Or even just what I was posting the other day about the 69 tops, because I bought a 69 top sheet, and they inverse every other road just so that the heads, the players' heads are facing each other. And somebody commented, it's like that's interesting. They inversed it, and it was, we determined it was for color, because there was one other sheet, and I think it was 71 tops where they had one row that they did it, and it was color matched to the previous row. So I mean, they're thinking about where they lay the ink. What do I look for? Condition is obviously important, but I bought that 1965 Topps Tallboy partial sheet from BST, 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
It was, the bottom half was missing. It was, it was frayed around the edges. It was in tough shape. But right there, top row, middle, Joe Namath. And this, I mean, does it matter? I mean, it's the only partial sheet I've ever seen. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter what the condition is. There's Broadway Joe and all of his glory. And it's pretty damn cool. So I guess at some point it's like, saying, you're not really worried about what that, that Pottsville Maroon postcard looks like. You're just happy to have a Pottsville Maroon card. It's rare. So, ditto. If I have a sheet and another one comes up that's beat up, I might not take it down. I might not bid on it just because I already have it. But, I certainly won't shy away from a sheet because it's, it's got a water stain or it's got a tear in it or something. I'm just happy to be on the dance floor. I'm happy to have it. It's kind of cool.
Now, the second question I want to throw out to you at the same time, and you kind of answered it for me. I know you're not the type to want to corner the market on uncut sheets so that anybody who wants another uncut sheet, they would have to go through you. And I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But do you and I, and again, just to throw it out as an example, do you prefer having, if you can find it and it's reasonably priced enough, and I'm talking about more common sheets that say this sets from the 70s and 80s, are you more comfortable like having one sheet framed and then having a second one for a like a reference copy? Have you done that with any of the sets? Well,
it's funny, Bob. We decided this was our topic, that I wanted to talk about it. And I didn't know you were going to do kind of an interview format. So this is fascinating. I've never been asked about my collection. I love it. It's so this is you're making me think, I guess is what I'm saying. I didn't know you were going to come locked and loaded with some questions. Do I duplicate? No, I kind of hit a saturation level where I'm happy. And the example I would give would be 81 Top, 3 series, an ABC, and the C series has Joe Montana on it. And I was collecting them onesie twosies for a little while, and then all of a sudden I found a guy who had them in their original round tubes. So when you would buy them from Topps, you'd buy them as a set, and you could say which sheet you wanted, and they'd send it to you in a tube. Well, he happened to have about 15, about 5 or 6 sets, rolled in tubes. And I was like, so I went to buy one from him, and I'm like, how many more of these do you have? And he's like, 4 or 5. I'm like, I'll take them all. So I ended up with 5 or 6 full sets, all in tubes, the original tubes that are stamped with Topps. I opened a couple to make sure that they were in good shape and I was getting what I was being told, and then I put them away. So I probably wouldn't buy another 81 Topps sheet, because I'm kind of full up. I have a spreadsheet I keep that tells me what I've got, and just because they get expensive. If I'm going to fight for a 69 Topps, then I'm not going to bother if I already have it. But so I'm pretty full up of 81. I probably wouldn't buy anymore. It's because I bought enough. 84 Topps, I've got probably 10. I don't know. I'll go through little hoarding phases, I guess. Where I'm like, I'll buy that because it's inexpensive. But then I hit a point where I have enough. But probably about 2 years ago when I moved into my new office, I've mentioned there was this concrete stairway that went down into the basement, and underneath the stairway was this door, and it was the perfect spot to hide stuff. It's concrete. It's a bunker. And so in there I built a shelf, a 4x8 piece of plywood, and I have another, heavy piece of MDF I have above it, and I keep all my sheets there. Because a lot of them, if they're rolled up in tubes to protect them, they have memory for that. And so unrolling them, they tend to, you can damage them. If you're unrolling it, you have to use your entire arm. Because if you try to unroll the corner and it's got memory to be rolled up, it'll tear. It's old enough to tear. So I found that, putting, that piece of MDF on it protects it, and then putting a weight on the MDF keeps them from rolling. So I put about a dozen cards down, put the MDF on top of it, let it sit a month, and that's how long it would take for them to lose their rolled memory. And I'd go down there and grab a dozen more and slide them under. And eventually I worked my way through all the tubed sheets, and now I have a shelf in this thing that has 100+ uncut sheets that are down there laying flat, and they're nice.
Wow.
When I buy sheets, I keep them in the tubes up in my office, and about once a month, once every 2 months, when I get about 5 or 6, I go down there and untube them and slide them in there. And I try to keep track. I'm sure my spreadsheet's a little off. I want to go take better pictures of them. I wouldn't mind having a spot with a camera, 3-4 feet above it, where I put it in a template. But man, they're beautiful. They're little works of art. The 50 Bowman, has 4, 4 series to it. Little works of art, man. They're just they're fascinating. It's fun, and I've mentioned this before. Can't fake it. You can't recreate it. You can't buy a set of 50 Bowman cards and then glue them together and create a fake uncut sheet. It is probably the one thing in our hobby that can't be faked. Autographs, jerseys, shoes, helmets. You can trim and color cards. There's a lot of things you can do in our hobby that makes you shake your head. The fake autographs is bothersome. Grabbing jerseys, cutting them up, putting them in cards. Uncut sheet is, the more I get kicked in the crotch in this hobby by getting ripped off by buying a card that's, 48 leaf card that's been graded, but, you start digging into it, you're like, wait a minute, this is trimmed. This slipped by the goalie. The more you get disappointed in something, the more I really migrated to these and went, it's the one thing in our hobby that can't be doctored. And there's something to that. It's pretty cool,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you're obviously, as we've mentioned several times over the years, you're looking for a 35 National Chickle sheet. And
Series 2. If they come in series, who knows?
What is the oldest sheet you own, and what's the actual newest sheet you own, if there is?
Interesting. I have my oldest would be 1948 Leaf Football Series A.
Okay.
1 through 49.
That's what I figured.
But it's not a true uncut sheet. It's actually 3 pieces of 2 uncut sheets, and I know it's at least 2 because there's about 5 cards that overlap that are on that are on two of the pieces. So I know it's at least 2 sheets. And those three pieces came together, and they represent 48 of the 49 cards, 7 rows of 7.
Okay.
When I overlap all of them and I put it in a frame, I'm missing one. And I thought about buying that card and sliding it in there, but I actually like the missing tooth, I call it, because it's on the top row. I actually like that little missing tooth, one card missing, because it reminds me that it's not a perfect uncut sheet. But again, I'm happy to be on the dance floor. I'm happy to have even that partial uncut sheet. I mean, one of those pieces is about 70% of the sheet. Pretty big, but I was talking to Blaisdell about this at the National. Is just when's the last? He had 2 49 leaf uncut sheets that he dug out of a dumpster, and he's like, and you see a lot of little 4-card panels, and he goes, most of those came from that. This is the only bit of 48 leaf uncut I've ever seen, and it's kind of cool. And the history of that is, I started collecting miscut cards, and you can see the adjacent card, and I started piecing together how a sheet looked, and then I put it on a chat board, the old LTS board, and I had a couple people chime in. It's like, yeah, I was looking into this too. Well, check this out. And then Mike Thomas near Mint has that software where he can put it together, and he said, here's what it looked like. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. We accomplished that. And then about a week later, I got a call from one of our collector friends, and he's like, 48 leaf uncut sheet, 3 pieces just appeared on eBay. And he's like, I've never seen it. I'm like, neither did I. And I immediately went on eBay, saw it, hit the bin, hit the buy it now.
Yep.
And I don't remember what I paid for it, nor do I care. It's the only one I've ever seen, and that was probably 13 years ago that I bought it. And
wow.
That's my oldest pieces, like I said. And after that, 50 Bowman and 1950 Bowman. I have all 4 series. I only had 3 of the 4 series for a long time, and then the 4th series came up in an auction about a year ago, and I was able to buy it, complete it. So I have the entire 50 Bowman set in uncut sheets, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You're making me smile, Bob. I love this. I love thinking about this. It's kind of fun.
All right. So then on the other spectrum, what's the newest sheet you got? 89 tops or anything from the 90s or
88.
What?
88 tops. 88
tops. Okay.
I think I only have like 2 or 3 of those. I don't even know. I don't even remember if it's 3 sheets or 4. But yeah, I've got 88 tops. I have some 87. I have some 86, 85, 84, 83 to 281, 80, 79, 78, 77. All the 7. I have a 76 with Walter Payton on it. The full set there. I mentioned in the pre-show, I just got the entire set of 1975 tops in an auction in uncut sheet, and which is kind of cool. Oddly enough, 74 tops is really common. There's a lot of 74 top sheets floating around out there. Don't know why. 73, 72 is really tough. I think I only have 1 sheet. 71, I only have 1 sheet.
72, I can't see, or correct me if I'm wrong, is there a high series uncut sheet of 72 that exists? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, one sold in Heritage. About, I forget, and sometimes I get them mixed up. I'm not very good at record keeping, as you know, Bob. So it's one came up about, I want to say either 6 months or a year ago, and I can't remember which auction it was. And it went pretty high price.
Okay.
It's kind of like $3,000. It has the Roger, the Roger Staubach on it. And every once in a while, somebody wants a sheet better, more than I do, and it's usually a type collector. It's like, I'm a huge Roger Staubach fan, and here's an uncut sheet with Roger on it, and I want it. That's, I would imagine that's somebody out there. But
that would make more sense than people collecting the uncut sheet of that. I never realized it came to auction. I missed that completely. Wow. I'm surprised.
Are there any other Are there any other uncut sheet collectors that you know of? Because I don't know of anyone either.
I honestly, in all the years I've been in the hobby, Joe, you're the only one that I really know. I don't know of anybody else collects uncut sheets. I mean, I know a few guys that have, a sheet or two here or there, or like you said back in the '80s when you could mail away and get the complete, get a sheet via the mail. I know a couple of those guys, and it's interesting. Back in the '80s, I never did that because I said, well, number one, where am I going to put it? And I would want to probably stick it on my wall back then, and that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I never ordered it. So very interesting. I don't know of anybody.
Number one reason people don't collect. Number one reason people don't collect is exactly what you said. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? Where do I store it? For years, I kept them in tubes and kept them, in my basement. And then when we moved, I, put them, moved them to this other spot. And then I was like, you know what, I got to start, enjoying my collection. But most people are like, how do I store them? Do I frame them? And they take up so much wall space. And I've just embraced it in my office. I've shown you pictures. I have about a dozen sheets hang in my office, and I love them. They're a conversation starter, et cetera. But I've never bumped into somebody who likes sheets either. It's kind of a novelty just because they do take up so much room. They're hard to store. They're hard to dedicate the wall space. They're they're tough. So, and maybe that's good. Maybe that's my benefit.
And also think about this: all the nationals we've been to, and I've probably been to a few more than you've been. I rarely see uncut sheets at a national. I've literally seen more uncut sheets at local shows over the years than I did at the national, if that's possible. So, it is rare, and they're really not out there. So, to me, you got to...
Bobby, there you kind of broke up a little bit. Sorry.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you kind of you broke up there. I apologize. I wasn't sure if that was me or you.
To me, I just see it as being it's rare. It's hidden somewhere. It'll come out at some point. And again, it's either going to be a partial sheet or a 3-4 card panel, something like that, will come out.
Yeah.
And you could call your collection complete at some point with it. But anyways, it's truly an amazing collection. Something to really think about. Something to really view as far as the whole view of how we collect, what we collect. And again, I go back to my collection. I collected wrappers. I collected display boxes for years. I sold off both collections. And maybe I sold them, but whatever. I did what I had to do with them, and that was it. I was done with them. You know what I mean? And I look at 89 being a turning point, and I'd be interested to find out, just for the sake of conversation, how many Pro Set sheets are still in the market wherever? Uncut sheets. Are they available? Where are they? Did they get thrown out? Does anybody have any? That type of thing. Same thing with 89 Score. Is there uncut sheets of them out there? I'm sure there are. Wherever they are, they're not widely advertised one way or the other. So it's truly amazing, to say the least. So, but again, storage issues and the cost of them, so on and so forth. It's truly a huge undertaking for any collector, one way or the other.
I'm pot committed now. And as you mentioned, there was a 33 Sports King uncut sheet that came up about 2 years ago. Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, right on.
Yep.
Perfect cross-section between baseball, football, every other sport. Because, there's swimmers, there's golfers on that sheet. And I was like, okay, this is a beautiful sheet. Never seen one but perfect football. It'd be like if the 1926, the sports champion came up again. It's like, yeah, there's football, baseball, etc. But I mean, very important footballers on there. And I bid on it. I think I went up to $30,000 on it, and it ended up going for about $65,000. So,
yeah.
Who knows? But I mean, obviously, in the conflux of baseball and football, baseball is much more expensive, and that was a prime example of this football guy getting his pee-pee, slapped in the dirt, by some baseball guy who wanted that Sports King, sheet better than I did. So, but
and again,
who knows?
Look at basketball cards, look at hockey cards. I wonder if there are any uncut sheet collectors in those sports. I know baseball, I'm sure there are several uncut sheet collectors in baseball. However, does anybody collect hockey uncut sheets except for maybe a few people in Canada? Basketball, the same thing. Who collects it, if anybody? So it's really an amazing story to think about how few and far between collectors are. And in your case in football, with the exception of maybe, like you said, a Staubach collector getting that third series sheet because he needed to have it for his collection. You are it. That's it. As far as I'm concerned, you're the
kind of cool.
You're the market.
Kind of cool too.
Joe Squires.
Such a niche. Maybe one of these days I need to frame them all and kind of put them in chronological order in a room, something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, you should create like a warehouse museum with all the sheets hanging there, type of thing. Do like a virtual one, and do a website on them or whatever. But I always found it fascinating, and I always, to me, appreciated what you collected, what you did with it, because it's an amazing collection, really amazing collection. Yeah. And again, I've been very limited in it, and like I said, it was the 1960 Flair strips that I had. And I still remember to this day, again, to date myself, back in the probably 10 years ago, I did a show in Hartford at the Civic Center, and it was called Paper Mania. It was a paper show. And I was obviously a sports publication dealer in the show, and I had mainly football publications, but I remember bringing like 2 or 3 of the strips there, and I couldn't believe the first day I set up, I had so many people interested, and it wasn't even funny. So when I went home that night, because I was about a half-hour ride back to the house in Wallingford, I took another 2 or 3. I sold them right away, and I said to myself, I wonder if I'm really onto something here, that these strips are really that much in demand and that worth that much, because I did obviously make money on them over the years when I bought them, But I was always fascinated with that, and I think it was just more of a conversation piece for some of the dealers and some of the people that were there, that they wanted to get it, so on and so forth. All right, we're winding down the show. If you're not a subscriber to Gridiron Greats magazine, what are you waiting for? Check out our website, GridironGreatsMagazine.com. I also got a quick announcement. There are no more complete sets, back issues of Gridiron Greats. At this time, several of the earlier issues that I printed are completely out. And when I get reset up in the new compound, I will be figuring out what to do there. I'll probably go back on press and reprint a few of them for those people who need the early issues. They're all in the 20s that we printed way back when, and we're out of them at this time. So hopefully we'll be back on track with them at toward the end of the year. If you're not a subscriber, check out our website, GridironGreatsMagazine.com. Joe, final comments, not on the show, but on Uncut Sheets.
Yeah.
Besides finding that 35 National Chickle, what else can you say?
My fear would be, it's such a rare thing. Somebody wants it more than me. I mean, at some point I got to hit my wife up for some of these things I collect. I appreciate it. And it's funny. I used to kind of keep this stuff to myself. you know, at some point you're like, well, I'm afraid if I tell people I collect it that they might scarf it up or, you know, something like that. But it's been the opposite, which is often the way it is in this hobby. You tell someone I collect uncut sheets, and I got to tell you, you know, every time an auction comes out, you know, I have dozens of private messages, text messages from people saying, hey, did you see that 77 uncut sheet on eBay? Half the time I missed it. And I'm so appreciative of people, you know, if you build it, they will come. If you tell people what you collect, your friends in the hobby will point things out to you. And half the time it's stuff that I missed. And I am so grateful for the people who pointed stuff out to me. It's pretty cool. It always makes me smile, and I always say thank you. So keep it up, everybody listening. If you see an uncut sheet, man, private message, text me, and let me know. And if you come across somebody who has that 35 Chickle uncut sheet, I will personally fly you to the National and thank you.
There you heard it first on the podcast. Joe and his quest for the 35 National Chickle sheet. All right, we got about five minutes left with the show. One quick mention. Have auctions burnt themselves out? You had mentioned in a prior email some auctions coming up, and it doesn't look like there's anything really of notoriety. What's going on?
Yeah. And you know me, I'm an auction whore. I love me a good auction, and I get excited on auction day. Every auction that opens is another thing that for me to possibly collect. And it just seems like right now there's this barren wasteland, this Sahara desert of auctions. REA, used to do once a year, and then they switched to twice a year, and now they're doing their mid-range stuff, every month or something like that. It seems kind of diluted. Leland's has their mid-big auction that goes on, kind of diluted. Heritage has something that's popping off here pretty quick, but it seems like they're doing a football auction there's constantly stuff on there. And I don't know, it just seems like everybody's rushing to have more and more auctions, and it seems like stuff is getting diluted. I mentioned, what is it? Memory Lane is, coming up here. It opens in a week or so, and they've always got some good stuff. It's like Christmas. If you ask for a Red Ryder BB gun, and you run down there on Christmas Day and you open up all your stuff and there's no Red Ryder BB gun, it's the same way. I really look forward to an auction opening, and I jump on there the morning it opens, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Hopefully there's some good stuff. And when I blow through there, and it's like, oh, a PSA 5 Jim Brown rookie card. Oh, that's eBay-esque, I call it. It's just always kind of a letdown. It's always like, so hopefully we have some auctions opening up, some big stuff. REA's mid, auction, low-grade auction ends here pretty quick, and hopefully they're saving up some good stuff because, man, I love me a good auction, and I admit it. It's like it's like saying you love New Kids on the Block. You don't want to say that in too many crowds, but man, I love me a good auction. So we shall see. Hopefully,
I hear you.
Bob.
It was funny. Just a real quick story. When I was packing everything up, and again, you're looking at years upon years of accumulation. The last move we had was basically down 1 mile from the house where we bought, and I was fortunate. A buddy of mine stored a lot of the stuff at his house, and we just brought it back to the new house, so it wasn't so bad. But this one, realizing that everything's by weight, I got to get rid of stuff. I gave a good friend of mine back in Connecticut a lot of my publications. One bunch of publications I did not get rid of were my BST auction catalogs, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because I really believe all the stuff that they auctioned in a very limited time, as far as football was concerned, was really a lot of it was once-in-a-lifetime stuff that came to the market. And I needed those catalogs, as far as reference, so on and so forth. I didn't want to give them up. Simple. And a good auction catalog, which everything is pretty much online now, is becoming more and more rare to look at and view. And it's a shame. It's a shame. But it is what it is.
I'm the same. So, I'm the same. I save the good auction catalogs. The rest I chuck. If there's something in there that's really cool, And the one BST auction I saved was when they auctioned off my my Mayo set. I just love that. They were so good. Such a good auction house. You should bring Spano on the show. I miss that.
Yep.
Miss that guy's grizzled old deep voice.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, we're almost out of time. Joe, our 1 minute wrap up. I'm handing off to you. Final thoughts.
Great show. You made me smile, Bob. Thank you very much. I really like talking about sheets, and I didn't know we were going Q&A format there, so that was a pleasant surprise. So sheets are cool. I love collecting them, and yeah, it was cool to talk about it. Great topic. Good show today. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about it. I think it really needed to be discussed, and again, it's such a unique part of the hobby, and it's well overlooked and very misunderstood in a lot of ways. All right, we're almost out of time. Thanks for listening. We're going to be back next week with another show. I got a few guests lined up. We're just trying to work out our times so that they can be on. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by to listen to another episode here on the Sports History Network. Our podcasters are passionate about uncovering and sharing sports stories from yesteryear. And if you didn't know it already, we have over 30 shows across the network covering all sorts of sports history topics. In fact, here's a glimpse into one of our awesome podcasts here on the network.
Each week, the official Football Learning Academy podcast will take you deep into the history of pro football through interviews with players, coaches, or administrators in the NFL, as well as interviews with Pro Football Hall of Fame selectors, authors, and historians. You'll learn how the game evolved and important moments that shaped the sport into what it is today. And don't miss the Pro Football History Nugget of the Week. Listen to the official Football Learning Academy podcast on the Sports History Network.
How about that? I bet you're super hyped to go listen to that new podcast, right? Well, to learn about this show and all the other podcasts on the network, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Again, that's sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Head over there today to find your next favorite sports history podcast.